Welcome to Banks Power in Azusa, California. We're coming to you from inside the race shop and engineering department here. I'm Jay Tillis, Banks Power brand manager, and I'd like to introduce you to the newest in our family of inline tuners, the Derringer L5P. We actually started working on the L5P almost 3 years before it was on sale in a pickup. Hell, we outfitted the military's new Joint Light tactical vehicles with more than 1,000 of them. The warehouse just next door is full of them. Now, we get a ton of questions, and we all see the online chatter about AG, Stealth, Doctor Performance, and the AFE Scorcher. So let's see how they compare. To do that, let's bring in someone who's been developing engines, turbos, and electronics for over 60 years, Mr. Gale Banks.
All right.
Hey.
All right.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
All right. Well, First off, let's take a look at the good Doctor Performance.
I see you've got these guys kind of lined up in order to performance. Doctor Performance is the lowest performance one of the group. So we might as well start there.
Okay.
It's the lowest performance. It's the most expensive. It's around $700. So we ordered the Stealth. The Stealth actually shipped us a box with Doctor Performance on it. They're the same people, same company. What's really kind of interesting here is what you get, what's on the circuit board. Well, we've been doing electronics for a very, very long time. And I will tell you, we did a little cost analysis on this one. $3.21 worth of electronics.
Oh, no.
It blows my mind. It's got a 98-cent microprocessor.
Now, did what I hear...
You go down to the dollar store and you buy that.
Is what I heard true, that the case is double the price of the...
The case is over $7. Yeah. The housing costs more than the electronics. And there's not much here and there's not much going on. So it plugs in line with rail pressure. And when we were doing the testing, it's got a 4-position switch, and all 4 positions make the same power. Now, we checked with some other friends of ours back east who also were dynoing one of these. They got the same results, and as you'll see later, virtually the same power. So that's these guys.
Very curious.
Next one up the ladder, this is kind of the ascent of tuning, like the ascent of man. This one is still rail pressure only. And these rail pressure boxes smoke out your DPF. I mean, we're not doing full deletes here. In fact, we're going for national emissions and CARB, EPA and CARB. This has a 4-position switch, and it actually has different levels. Interestingly, level 1 took power away from stock. I guess that's so when you go to level 4, it'll seem like more than it really is over stock.
Now these guys claim to be, AG claims to be farm smart.
Well, I'm from Iowa, and let me tell you, this ain't farm smart. It's not farm thrifty, it's not any of those good things that happen in the Midwest. The DPF only has so much soot capacity. These guys don't add any air. They don't talk to anything that would allow them to add air. They're just in the rail pressure sensor line. Let me show you over here on the engine.
All right.
So this is a Banks L5P, fresh out of Duramax. They're built to our part number. I don't know if you guys know it out there, but we're the worldwide distributor for Duramax. If you don't buy it in a pickup truck, if you want one in your military vehicle or your hot rod or your boat, we're working on boat versions of the Duramax as well. We've been buying from GM engine plants directly since 1969, so it's nothing new with us. We know this engine intimately because the L5P was in this shop 1.5 years before you could get one in a truck. We started with the beta engines. So we know it pretty well, and we know the turbocharger pretty well. This plugs into the front, into the rail pressure sensor, and the rail pressure sensor lead goes into here. They claim to be talking to the ECU. Well, there's no way you talk to the ECU through a sensor lead. That's what the diagnostic or OBD connection is for, but you're certainly not doing it here. So these things are not only airless, they drive the exhaust gas temperature to the moon. When you go rich with a diesel, you drive the exhaust gas temperature, and the smoke or soot output just goes for it. You don't see it, but you're going to be regenning that DPF because the soot load. Get ready for the soot load with this. This one puts in more fuel than the Dr. Performance or Stealth box does.
Okay.
So it makes a bit more power. You do this, you go rich, you make smoke, it's fuel economy. It hurts fuel economy in a couple of ways. It hurts fuel economy because you're going excessively rich when you tip in. These guys start fueling right off the get-go. And it plugs up the DPF, so its back pressure is higher on average between regens, and it regens more. Well, everybody knows back pressure is not the friend of fuel mileage.
No, most certainly not.
So it's a back pressure box too. You get that for free.
What happens when we hit the 1450 EGT limit?
Yeah, the EGT limit is built in so that the turbo has a life of hundreds of thousands of miles. It's about 1450, 1460 degrees. The stock ECU senses the EGT. It takes the temperature off the EGR recirculation passage. So they call it, through OBD information, they call it EGR inlet temp, something like that. When we display it on our iDash, we call it EGT. So the point being, you start fueling, the EGT goes up to 1450, it starts taking away stock fueling to maintain it there. These guys can't do a damn thing about that because they can't lean it out. They can't put more boost into the engine to help offset that. So they go EGT limit pretty quickly on a hard, long pull. What do you do with a truck?
You pull.
You pull
you
things.
Carry heavy loads.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you go on vacation, you carry all your toys, whatever you're doing, you work trucks. Now, when they're light and they squirt around town, that feels good too. But the point is, every time you squirt with this thing, that's exactly what it does. It just squirts in fuel. There's no air to go with it. So, you know, this one I'm going to give about a D.
So these guys claim to give you low to mid-range power under 2150 RPM. But from my understanding, you don't really ever operate under 2150.
Well, if you want to talk the scenario, watch the throttle position, RPM, and speed as we go through the gears. Here we go. There we are. 3100. Again, 60 miles an hour, 70. One more gear, 80. Here comes 90, and I'm lifting. We went from idle to 2,000 RPM in a little over a second. The engine never made peak torque. There wasn't enough time. Our upshifts were all around 3,150 RPM. Our drop back RPM was never below 2,300 RPM. So that's the power band at wide open throttle while accelerating. So the stock torque peak is at 1,600 RPM. You're never there. You go right through it. From standstill to like 2,100 RPM takes 1 second. You're at 1,600 RPM for like a tenth of a second. You're just driving through the torque peak. So once you're up above that and shifting through the gears, you've got a situation where you accelerate. Here's the stock horsepower trace. And you shift at 3,150 and you drop back to about 2,300. We've put 2,150 on here. That's the lugging downshift point. So dropping down to the torque curves, you see what's going on. As you lug, you know, the torque is increasing. This is called torque rise. And once you hit 2,150, it backshifts and you go to a higher RPM again. you never lug back to the torque peak. So the relevant thing here, we in our dyno testing start about 1900 RPM, and that's very, very hard to do because it wants to backshift so bad. We generally dyno trucks like this in 4th gear, which is 1-to-1. So you don't have any big losses where you're running through planetaries or other gearing within the transmission. So that's the operating range of the truck no matter what you do with the engine. So what happens below that?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And I challenge them to measure it. We can measure on the engine dyno all day long. We go down to 800 RPM. But there's no way you can get that on a chassis dyno. That's the message. So we move up scale now. We move up to the AFE. We want to talk about the AFE?
Yes, please.
All right. So the AFE has 2 setups here. It also gets into the map sensor. Now the map sensor is not currently on this engine. There's an inlet casting that bolts to these pads, comes up and kind of hangs down like that. And if you look at it from the front, it looks like a sad giraffe. It's kind of got its head down. So everybody around here calls them sad giraffes. Anyhow, there's a sensor access. You remove the throttle.
Oh, the throttle body.
Yeah, you remove the throttle body, it's right behind it.
Got it.
So that's how you get to that one. But once again, they now know about rail pressure. Mm-hmm. They know about map or boost pressure. And they even have a little phone app where you can read map and boost pressure on the phone. Why can't you read anything else?
Because you're not connected to the OBD2 port like the Derringer.
Exactly. That's all it knows. So, but with air, these guys are a competitor. They're now kind of in the game. But if you're not connected to all the hundreds of pieces of intelligence you can get through the diagnostic port, you're unable to change what these things are doing. Like, let's say you go up to high altitude. Well, how does this thing know what to do with the turbo?
It can't. You're at a fixed calibration the whole time.
Absolutely. Or let's say you're accelerating through 1st and 2nd gear and it's overfueling. It gives you too much power. It overwhelms the transmission. You blow through the 1-2 shift and the 2-3 shift. This thing does that. I don't think they even know. It doesn't know that when it blows through the shifts, the engine ECU derates tremendously. It pulls out fuel. We'll get to that in a little while.
Gale, let's talk about the claimed versus reality.
All right.
Because these guys, the numbers speak for themselves.
They do.
How much dyno time do we have into those boxes?
Oh, over 1,000 hours of dyno time. There's dynos running there's an L5P on the dyno.
I don't know if you guys
now.
can hear that in the background, but there's a truck and a dyno right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what these guys claimed. So let's start with the Dr. Performance.
There you go.
Right now, the green.
Bottom up.
The bottom up,
Okay.
exactly. So they claimed 100 horse.
Yeah.
And what did they deliver?
About 1/10 of it. You know, peak to peak, we got 11 horsepower. And we've got a third party that got like 13 or 14. Our best gain was 14. Then we get to AG, and of course on level 1, the AG gives us 399 horsepower. That's 4 horsepower less than stock. It's got 50 bar less rail pressure on level 1 than stock.
So they're showing a greater gain because they're starting you off beneath stock horsepower.
On the box sitting on that table, that's exactly what it does.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I didn't go buy another box to see if it's similar. I assume they're all the same. So in AG, we got a peak of 436 horsepower or a gain over stock of 33 horsepower. This is fuel only. This is quite a bit of raw fuel with no air to go with it. Now you can add a little air, and that's what AFE does. They add a little air. And AFE gets 441 horsepower. They're claiming 60. We're actually getting 38 and a best of 45. Do these guys just pull these numbers out of their ear and then write them on a piece of paper?
It does
Where do
appear
they
to
get
be
these
so.
numbers?
I don't
You know, so looking at torque, you get the same sort of thing. We've got 852 pound-feet of torque at the peak. Dr. Performance gives you 877. That's a gain of 25 peak to peak and 30 best gain on a claim of 120 pound-feet. So AG Diesel on a 852 stock is making 844. They have a loss of 8 pound-feet of torque. On their top setting, level 4, they're at 914 over 852, so they got a gain of 61 pound-feet, and we found a best gain of 79 pound-feet. And then AFE Scorcher, they're claiming 120 pound-feet. They came in at 924. 72 is the actual for them, 88 best. So we claim what we make. So if we go back to horsepower, we're at 463, additional 61 horsepower claimed, best gain of 61, and a peak-to-peak of 60. That means we picked up a solid 60 at the flywheel. Stock is 445, plus 60 is 505. You now have a 505 horse engine. Down at torque, we're at 939, so we picked up 112 best and 91 peak to peak. Adding the 91 pound-feet to their 910, we're now at 1,001 pound-feet. How can we do all of this? Well, we're on the OBD connector, and we're looking at throttle position. We're looking at EGT. We're looking at, of course, map and rail pressure. We're looking at transmission slip. We're looking at all this stuff that allows us to tune our calibration so that it's going to work no matter where you're at, no matter how much you're pulling. I mean, we've even run a 20,000 pound trailer on a 10% grade on our dyno as fast as it would go, which was like 52 miles an hour, and then compared our performance there. Any way you run the truck, we have calibrated for it. Our system senses the things you need to sense to make that happen.
All right, so Gale, I know you had a lot of seat time with the AFA Scorcher, and as a result, we've got some graphs. Let's talk about what we're seeing here.
Well, the Scorcher kind of scared me at first, and this is what happened. I legged it out of the hole the first time. I'd run stock, so I knew what the truck felt like. Leg it out of the hole, pulls low, seems to lay down a little. Pulls second, then it seems to lay down a whole lot. I went, man, I've wounded the transmission.
So you're saying it was like mushy during the shifts?
Yeah, it seemed to, I couldn't even tell where the 2-3 shift was. I couldn't even tell. It just kind of was weird.
Yikes.
And I thought, man, I've just wounded the gearbox. We had the iDash with data logging in the truck, so I just pulled the SD card and went back to the PC and started looking at what was going on with RPM and vehicle speed, and found this. This is all slip. All the red zone is RPM above the stock setup. But the speed is the same. It's slipping. The transmission is slipping.
Not good.
What's it doing? It's pulling out timing, it's pulling out fuel, it's pulling out boost. And you do the 2-3 shift where you've got this big slip, there's a 170 horsepower loss. That's why it was laying down. That's why it felt like nothing was happening.
Ouch.
Yeah. So it's over revving and it's underpowering. So the magic here is we don't do this.
Now, Gale, we haven't even touched on what happens when one of the other boxes lose power.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know if it's AG or AG. But let's test this box.
I don't have a clue. Let's get on the freeway. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gonna put it in drive. Here we go. All right, give it a little gas. Now, we're pulling a travel trailer, pretty heavy one at that, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're pretending, according to the dyno.
How about a toy hauler?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to get around this big rig right here. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mash it. Let's get around. All right, here we go.
Right.
Full throttle, here we go. All right, we're about 70 miles per hour, full throttle. Oh, we're almost around him. I'm gonna kill the box. Kill power to the box.
Fail.
Box fail. Full throttle.
Whoa.
We're gonna die. We're gonna die. I got nothing. I'm at 100% throttle. And my horsepower's dying.
Yeah. You're down to 38 miles an hour.
It's downshifting. We're slowing down. We just died.
Wide open throttle.
Reduced engine power, as you guys can see.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is not a good situation.
27 miles an hour, wide open throttle, 100% throttle. Oh, man.
All right, so let's check vehicle codes. Oh, we have a fuel rail pressure.
They weren't kidding when they say engine power is
reduced.
Is reduced, yes.
It's in the mud, yeah.
That power actually went negative.
Oh, my gosh.
The engine was braking. All right, we've changed over to the stealth box. Let's bang this turkey and see what the heck happens.
All right.
Yeah.
Put in gear. Here we go. Getting back on the freeway. I see an opening here. I'm going to go around this tractor trailer up here. You ready?
Let's go for it.
I'm going to mash it, and as we get around, I'm going to kill the box, the stealth, and see what happens.
All right.
All right, here we go. Full throttle. Here we go. We're passing.
It's going to lose voltage here.
And killing the box.
Oh,
voila! Full throttle. We're not going anywhere. My side by side. We're starting to get into speed wobbles back there.
Oh my
Engine
God.
power is reduced yet again.
Oh yeah. Man, that's just
I'm still in 100% throttle right now.
Oh man, these are losers. Losers.
And let's go into check vehicle codes. Fuel rail pressure.
Yep. You see what happens if the box checks out. Any way it does it, this is dangerous. Now we've got the AFE Scorcher on the truck.
Great.
All right, let's take it for a ride.
Gotta get, here we go, stabilize it around, let's have around 48 miles per hour. And I see a tourist bus up there.
Oh, you're gonna go around those guys?
Do you mind if I get on the throttle and go around the tourist bus up here?
I think they're going to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, Japanese.
Okay, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna mash it, then I'm gonna turn off the AFE box. Here we go.
Yeah, we're
going around them.
Do a box failure.
Full throttle and box failure. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa.
Whoa, 100%
Man,
throttle.
You feel that?
That was abrupt.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was violent.
That was heavy negative horsepower. It's recovering a little.
I'm still into the throttle, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the gauge, engine power is reduced. No joke.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right.
I'm gonna come out of the throttle. We'll check the codes.
There's absolutely no active safety in any of these three boxes.
All right, I'm gonna put on the
electronics fails, blow a fuse, and that
you are SOL,
what
as
the hell
they
is
say.
going on. Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right, let's take a look at our codes.
These things are a liability.
Yeah.
What do you got there? It looks like the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, it's Code City over here.
Yeah.
I have a 0106, a manifold absolute. I have an 0193 fuel rail pressure. Oh my Lord.
All right, we've got the Derringer installed into the hood. Let's get out on the freeway and bang this thing.
All right.
See what happens. Let's pass that farm truck up ahead.
All right, there's hay blowing on us, right?
Yeah, get around this.
I'm gonna mash it, and then I'm gonna kill the.
Where do these guys go with it?
All right, here we go.
You know, here
full throttle,
feeding horses. Here we go.
Full throttle. I'm gonna kill the power.
Yeah, get it
to the Derringer.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, we're still going.
Hey, we're still accelerating.
100%. And we're still accelerating. Oh my gosh, 100%. Here we go. I'm gonna slow it down. Clearly.
All right.
We have 100. We have all the power we need.
I think we might have popped the speed warning there.
We did on the lower iDash.
Yeah. You can set alerts on the iDashes. for a variety of things, up to 20 different things.
It said slow down, you're pulling a trailer, you're insane.
Yeah.
Check vehicle codes.
Power to the Derringer is still off, by the way.
Checking for codes.
All right, let's see what we get.
But nothing, no codes.
That's what active safety is all about. It's safety for the people in the truck.
Let's recap.
Okay.
What do we have here? Derringer versus the competition.
So we ought to cost at least twice as much. We're doing all this stuff and we're making more power. All in all, we've tried to create what people would expect us to create. We've worked within the confines of the truck and what's realistic. We're not over-tuning. We're tuning to the capabilities of not only the vehicle, but the situation that you're in at the time, the load you're pulling, the work you're doing. We won't let you over-temp and kill the truck. We won't let you over-EGT. We just optimize within all these things that are constantly varying. The other guys have no idea and can't do it. So we're kicking their ass. And we're doing it at a price point that's ultra competitive. So there you are.
Well, I'm impressed, and I'm not sure what to do with the other boxes now.
I have an idea.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see here. Here, I know what to do with them. There you go.